Hey Terranova family, Lyle here, and I want to take a few moments to share about what's been on my mind lately. With all the changes and frankly restrictions covering the last 10 weeks or so, I've been captured by the idea of using the shelter in place time to grow deeper in my relationship with God. And what I've found is my days are really full, sure, but I've also discovered that I've had additional time to do things like household repairs that have taken me years to get around to, and also additional time to sleep, which I'm a big fan of, but also time to get alone and to pray and read God's Word, a practice that I and many others call a quiet time. Since Easter, my quiet time has been in the book of Romans, and it's a book written by Paul, and its structure is really easy to understand. First off, he talks about the human condition, and then he goes into, secondly, the problem of sin. And then thirdly, he talks about the solution to sin, which is salvation through Jesus Christ. All very important things to know, but then when you hit Romans 12, he begins to talk about how all these truths impact our lives in a really practical way. You see, these truths should transform us and guide us into God's plan for our lives, into his will. And of course, a big part of God's plan for us is this, to be huge when it comes to love. And so Paul reaches this point in his letter where he wants to list out what real love from God, working its way into our lives looks like. So in Romans chapter 12, verse 9, we read, "Love must be sincere." That sentence is actually just three words. It's ha agape a hypokrisis. Three Greek words which mean literally the love unhypocritical. So what type of love is this? It's the love unhypocritical. It's the love that is pure. There's nothing fake to it. And so Paul uses it almost like a title. And then the following words that we can see is bullet points to this big idea. Again, in Romans 12, verse 9, he says, the love unhypocritical, or in other words, love must be sincere. He says this, he says, hate what is evil, cling to what is good. Be devoted to one another in brotherly love. Honor one another above yourselves. Never lacking in zeal, but keeping your spiritual fervor, serving the Lord. And then he says this, be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. Share with God's people who are in need. Practice hospitality. And then he goes on and says, bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Mourn with those who mourn. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be proud, but be willing to associate with people of low position. Do not be conceited. Do not repay anyone evil for evil. Be careful to do what is right in the eyes of everybody. And then in verse 18, this really hits me. He says this, if it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live in peace with everyone. Now, I got to say that this is a pretty high bar when things are going ideal. But how about when things are tough, like right now? I mean, have you noticed it's especially hard to love people with whom we disagree with? And with all the differences of opinions right now, those people are not in short supply. But God never says, love those you agree with, love those that you're on the same page with, and shame the ones who don't. And yet that's the spirit of the day right now. Which is why we're going to talk about this and seek God's heart on this. The way we're going to do this is through a three-part series we're starting this week in Terranova called Fighting Amongst Ourselves, Pursuing Peace in a Polarized World. I hope you'll join us. In the meantime, don't forget that we've got life group signups now posted and ready to go online, and I can't wait to get going with these groups starting in June. So thanks for watching, and have a beautiful week.